Welcome to Business Mastery with Dawn Kennedy, your quick under 45-minute dose of expert insights and strategies to make a positive impact on your business and life. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. Today, we're talking all things raving fans, and it may not be necessarily what you think it is. So I have Elina on here. We're going to talk all things finding your raving fans and keeping them engaged and happy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Dawn.
All right. Can you tell everyone who you are and who you serve?
Yeah, my name's Elina. I run a dog e-commerce brand for doodles, and I serve doodle owners.
Amazing. All right. So when we were talking about this initially, you have started only a few years ago and you grew very, very rapidly. Can you talk a little bit about sort of where you started, what you got to, and then we could talk about how you found those specific doodle owners to be your raving fans?
Yeah, so I got laid off from my job, didn't know what I was gonna do, and then I picked up this book, and the book was talking about instead of choosing what product you're gonna create, what product or service, choose what audience you're gonna serve first and provide as much value to that audience as possible. And that kind of flipped the script for me because I had no idea what product or service I wanted to release into the market. But when I could flip the script and choose the person that I was serving first, I realized I could just ask them and I could see what challenges they're having and create a product that already solves their challenges. So I decided I have a dog myself, he's a doodle, and I knew that I needed to grow through organic social media and I thought making content with my dog is a way that I felt the most comfortable doing it. And so I decided that the person that I was going to serve is doodle owners. And I went into different doodle owner Facebook groups and I just posted in there and said, like, hey, like, what are your challenges of having a doodle? Would anyone be willing to chat with me for 15 minutes? And then started chatting with people and it kind of went from there.
Amazing. All right. So doodle owners specifically, so not dog owners generally. It's
Mhm.
that niche for you, and your business is doing how much in gross revenue?
Over 7 figures.
Yeah, over 7 figures, right, for just doodle owners. So I want the people on the podcast to hear she's serving just doodle owners doing 7 figures. So it's not a dog brand per se. Sure, there's other dog owners that could use it, but you intentionally set out to serve a particular breed owner, and you were able to grow from there. And I think that does, like you said, kind of fly in the face of, "Let me create this first, then figure out who I'm serving after the fact." So, but what do we do when we're business owners that have a product or a service and we've been around for a while and we didn't come to it from that perspective? Does this mean we can't find our raving fans?
It's tough. I work with a lot of business owners like that, and so, like, the approach that I always take is you have to well, there's a million ways to start a business, but if you wanna do it this way and have raving fans and the best part about the raving fans is, like, you can continue launching products to them, and you're not spending a bazillion dollars on ads. So if you wanna do it this way, you have to niche down. You have to like my product, I have a shampoo and I have a detangler spray, and those could be for any dog breed, but if I had a company that was a dog company, I there's no way it would have been as successful as it is right now because those bazillion other dog companies would have crushed me. They would have spent more money on ads than me. None of my ads would have stuck out. I wouldn't be able to find influencers versus right now, I'm so specific that when I reach out to doodle influencers, like I'm a doodle company, like I stick out to them. When I run ads, it's are you a doodle owner? My ads are super targeted. And so if you're a doodle owner, you're reading through, like you're looking at this and you're like, oh, this is me. When you're scrolling on Amazon, it's a doodle detangler spray. So my suggestion is even if you have like a protein bar, actually good example, Cliff Bar. What they did is they have a person climbing a mountain on the cover of their packaging. Why? Because they when they first started, they niched down and they were a brand for mountain climbers. After they nailed that target market and they had their raving fans from that target market that loved them, that's when it started expanding naturally. But you have to niche down and just, I know it's scary, but you have to choose that
Yes.
core group of customers to serve and be the brand, be the product for them, and then it will naturally expand.
Right. So I do want to address some of the hesitation that a lot of business owners face, even a few years in business, about they have something they're bringing, maybe it's collateral, and they don't niche down enough. And I know that there's a lot of us who are guilty of that. There is some resistance. Why do you think we're so afraid to niche?
Because you don't think there's a big enough market, right? Like, it's a bit of a, um like, you and some of it is probably, I don't know if ego is the right word, I'm not sure, but it's like you're like, "This product is so awesome, it could serve everyone." And that's so true, like, I could serve shit I could be a dog brand. It's so true, but you're not gonna stick out to you're gonna be talking to nobody, you're not gonna stick out to anybody, and you'll probably, like, be struggling for a while because you there's so many others like you, versus if
Right.
you can nail down, like, the core avatar that you wanna serve. Now all my content on Instagram, it's like DIY enrichment game for your doodle. Yeah, I could do this for a dog, but this sticks out to that core avatar and core group of people, like, they're gonna be obsessed with your brand because it speaks to them.
Right. Okay. So then let's take that kind of a step further and talk about developing that relationship for raving fans.
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of times people think, well, if I give good customer service, obviously I'll build a raving fan base. I'm not sure that that's the complete picture.
I mean, that's definitely part of the picture.
It
You
is a
definitely
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to do business
yeah.
with a company that's not doing great customer service, but
Yeah.
that's not all of it, is it?
Yeah. I think a big part of it is humanizing yourself and your brand. So what I notice is a bunch of e-commerce brands and people say like email marketing's dead. And like when you send emails that's 20% off or it's so salesy, like
Mm,
I mean, you get this in your inbox, like it's like, okay, cool, moving on.
right.
But if you like what I did, especially and I still do this, especially in the beginning, on Instagram, for example, and through email, I call it documenting your journey. So I was talking about like just taking people through the process of developing my brand so that when even before I launched my product, like I was telling them, um, talk to manufacturer, this is what we said, this is like where we're at. I'd send weekly updates. I would send screenshots of things. I would say, hey, like, would anyone be willing to try the sample? I would talk about, like, I'm not a doodle expert. I'm not a vet, I'm not a groomer. I'm a doodle owner just like you. And so I would just humanize myself because I am a human and I'd remember that there's a person at the other side of this laptop screen that's clicking. And so if you can be a person to them and treat them like a person versus a computer screen, that relationship is what builds your raving fan base because they see you as not just like some big or some company that wants something from you, and also if you can deliver value to them. So how much free value can you deliver to them before you take?
Right. Okay. So I guess another sort of follow on to that is a lot of business owners are afraid to do behind the scenes content or development content. I have
Yeah.
spoken to business owners who are like, oh, they don't care about making the sausage, right? They don't care about that stuff. They don't want to see the trucks delivering, the things to the warehouse. And I think you're going to say that that's not true.
Well, I can only speak from my experience, and
Yeah.
I also was like, "Who cares about this stuff?" But when I launched my product, and I remember when my started documenting in May 2023, launched my product December 2023, so let's say 6 months. That first day that I launched, my discount code wasn't working, and I got emails from people saying like, "Hey, just FYI, your discount's not working, but I bought I just wanted to support you, and I just wanted to support this brand, so I got it anyways." And that's when I realized, like, And this is a product that I launched on Amazon that has 0 reviews. So the only reason that people even remotely trusted me and would buy a product with 0 reviews, B, email me to tell me my discount code's not working and that they still bought the product to support me, is because I documented my journey and they just saw me as like a regular person who's just trying to do this thing. And people do love an underdog story. And that I didn't realize this until after like this whole thing happened, but that's kind of your that can be your differentiator from those big brands, is like this is like kind of an underdog story. Like this is how we're making sausage. Um and I guess it does work.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, all of our business experiences are ours, maybe they a little anecdotal, but the more perspective that we can have on these things and whether or not it's important because it becomes a thing where time is a resource,
Yeah.
and if I'm spending time not doing the behind the scenes content because I don't think it matters, but it actually could have more impact, I'm
Yeah.
actually hurting my business a little bit, I think, if I'm not considering that that could be important to who I'm serving.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose, but you definitely have to find a way to get, I call it, or I learned this from one of my mentors. It's called the traffic triangle. And so traffic's at the top. So you need to figure out a way to get traffic into your business.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter how you do it, but like one of the ways to do it is through social media. You can't do it through paid ads, and you can eventually you'll be doing both, but that's a lot more expensive. And
Right.
especially if you're in the beginning, then organic social media is the best way. And then for conversion, the best thing, so from social media, you want to get them on an email list, because email to sale has the highest conversion. Instagram to sale has one of the lowest conversions. So getting them from Instagram to an email list is the best way, and then continuing nurturing them through email.
Right. So let's talk about this customer retention. What is just for your product generally your rebuy cycle? Is it a month, 6 months? Do they use the shampoo up in 3 months? Are you continuing to serve all the way through and having high retention?
Yeah, I'd say about 4 months for both products, the detangler and the shampoo. I If someone's starting a product-based brand, I definitely recommend that you do something that's a consumable, which means that it's not like a one-time product, but they have to rebuy because you're getting that customer, and so every time they rebuy, you're not spending money on acquiring that same customer again. So definitely recommend you do that. And then for retention, I sell mostly on Amazon, so it's a bit hard to tell, but seeing the amount of people that I have on Subscribe and Save, it does continue to increase, every day.
Wow. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the e-commerce. And I do know that there are business owners out there listening, hi, that do e-commerce outside of Amazon. So, but you have found that Amazon has been a pretty simple way to distribute your product, or has there been a lot of changes since you launched in 23, or, all of 24, 25? How are you staying on top of that? And has it affected at all how your customers perceive your brand? Unfortunately, sometimes if there's a glitch in the software and the system or in the customer journey, maybe beyond your control, it can affect actually your impression of a brand online.
Oh, 100%. There's pros and cons to selling on Amazon versus your website. If someone's starting out, I recommend they choose one and just be an expert in that, and don't try to do both at the same time in the beginning. Later on, when you have more of a team, you can expand and do both. I say I sell on Amazon 80%, probably 15% on TikTok Shop, and then whatever stragglers find me on the website through just like blogs, or just they don't want to buy on Amazon, they search the brand. Um, Amazon's been good for me. There's a lot of, so in general, uh, Amazon on average has a 10% conversion rate versus websites, it's like 3%.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
People trust Amazon more. They already have their credit cards on there. They trust the reviews. Downsides of Amazon, it's literally every single person I know has gotten their listing delisted at least once. There's it's higher fees. for shipping, etc. And you have less control, which can be a pro or can be a con. For me, as like when I was like solo entrepreneur, it was a pro because I just like I could not deal with inventory. Like I just needed to send all my inventory there for my manufacturer, and like I needed them to deal with it because I didn't have the brain capacity.
Right.
But yeah, you got to stay on top of it. Like there's different rules that change, like different policy and compliance things. They're very picky about wording, and it's like a different. That's why it's hard to do both in the beginning, and where a lot of people they end up spreading themselves too thin. By doing both, because you're trying to drive traffic to your website while trying to rank on Amazon, but really you should drive all your traffic to one spot. So if it's Amazon, Amazon, so that it can go up in the algorithm and random people can find you through there.
Okay. So one or the other, and you send everybody to the same spot. So,
Mhm.
what about building your community? So your doodle community and inserting yourself, I guess, with your product over time. Can you talk a little bit? Because obviously you owned a doodle, so you had some relationship to what other people who own doodles deal with.
Yeah.
Um, but generally, did you also build another community on top of that, that are people who love your product? Or did you just develop the raving fans of your product because you all had doodles? I guess the
Yeah.
question is, yeah, which way did you go or did you do both?
I'll tell you what I did, and I'll tell you what I haven't done, but I think is a good idea.
Okay.
Um, so I built a so I have like a raving fan base through it's like an email, and it's people that have raised their hand to like want to help with product development and testing, etc. I also have a community on Facebook that has like 12,000 maybe doodle owners in there. And so anyone that joins the Facebook community, in order to join, you have to give your email. So that's helps me grow my email list. But
Right.
then community is I don't sell in the community, the Facebook one. That's just like for people to talk, ask questions, just do all their post cute doodle pictures, anything they want to do. What I haven't done, and I think that I sh- brands should do, is create a VIP list. So
Right.
these are people that like this is like 100 to 200 people, or depending on how big your brand is, and it could be like 10 people. But there's people in there that would love to, like I said, help with product development, help provide feedback. And these are the people that you can go to when you first launch anything, your service, your product, and they can be the first ones to test, and you can ask them for reviews, and they're like your core group that you talk to about things. And those are the people that are going to give you that initial traction before you like spread the wings to your whole audience.
Right. How long did it take you to develop that list? And I think we've talked on previous episodes about, Apple could sell a marshmallow on a stick and call it the s'mores phone. And people would line up around the block, and 2% of the market would go and buy the s'mores phone because it has Apple on it. They have that innovator base pretty
Yeah.
well figured out. So how long did it take you to feel like you could identify those people?
I didn't realize until I launched my first product how many people were just interested in the journey of this random person who doesn't really know anything about creating a product, or just has a doodle and wants to create just the better products out there. But once I launched the product is when I realized like, oh, there's actually people watching. Like there was enough people that bought that we got number one release on Amazon like the day that we launched the products, which was I was shocked.
So
So
that was not strategic. You weren't, hacking Amazon per se. So I know there are people out
yeah.
there that say, "You can hack Amazon, you can," it's like, yeah, okay. I
Half. It was strategic in the sense that I was trying to stack the deck. I was trying to get a raving fan base, so when I launched on Amazon, I could get people to buy. Like, that part was strategic. I think
right,
everyone needs to do this versus just launching a service and hoping for the best, or launching a product and hoping for the best.
right.
But I didn't realize, like, how it was actually going to, like, work just
So
by yeah.
so you spent about 6 months before your first launch. Have you launched any other products, or are you planning to launch anything in the future? We're recording now in the early quarter 4 of '25. So, Are you going to be launching another piece of your line?
Yeah, so I have 2 products. I have the detangler, which was the first product, and then I have a, doodle detangler spray and then a doodle shampoo. Working on 2 products right now, that are gonna be in Q or in 2026, and then one kind of fun one that we're about to launch in, like, 2 weeks. It's like a little holiday product.
Sure. Okay. So, in getting to your third product, fourth product, um, I guess I want people on the podcast to hear and understand that you are already warming up that audience for those next two products, or are you still holding off? Are you doing the 6 months? Are you just reaching out to your VIPs? How are you building the expectation of your next product release?
Yeah, so the I'll talk about the 2 that are next year because those are actually, like, really new products. But yeah, so for example, I sent an email to my list and I said, "Hey, like I'm launching where I'm working on something and I want to talk to about 20 people for a 15 minutes. I want to show you what I'm working on. Here's a little sneak peek, but I can't show you what the whole thing is because I think this is going to go viral and I don't want someone to copy it." And it's so true. Like
Yeah.
I think when I launched this product, it's so cool and so unique and nothing like this exists on the market and it's so TikTok viral like looking that I don't want anyone to see it. So, but that's how I started like breadcrumbing and like prepping. And so I had people that reached out, we met, they provided feedback on the design but I only did it over a Zoom one-on-one because I don't want to send it to my list. And
Right.
then I sent notes back to them over email and then I'm going to take screenshots of those notes of everything like what they said. I like this, and I'm going to send that to the list. And as we get closer to launch, I'm going to start talking about it more. But I've kind of planted a seed in people's head that there's something new coming. And then what I'm going to do with this little intermittent holiday thing that I'm launching, which is it's like it's nothing crazy, is I'm going to say I'm working on a couple products for next year. So just to remind people that things are coming in the pipeline, but right now I wanted to launch something like a little holiday gift for you. I'm not going to do this huge launch about it because it's not that crazy of a product, and I want to save that for next year. But it's just more to tell people like, hey, next year there's big things coming.
Okay. So another question about how you're retaining these raving fans and pre-selling them into the next thing, um, and all the growth that you're planning
Yeah.
to do with these other lines of products. Um, do you look at any data? Like, and I don't know if you can get it off of Amazon, so this question may not be relevant, but do you look at lifetime value, how many times people have bought from you, or do you generally just by engagement and interaction know sort of who your raving fans are? Because I know there are people that collect a lot of e-commerce data
Mhm.
on cost to acquire, lifetime value, and those kinds of things. And I'm wondering if that weighs at all in your decision, maybe to invite people to be part of your next level.
I I I do look at that data. I don't Amazon doesn't tell you who it doesn't give you any customer date, like any emails. That's why I always collect emails up front and then send them to Amazon. So kind of the flow is like I have a Facebook ad to a land instead of sending them directly to Amazon, I send them to a landing page where I get their email so I can put them into my community and then I send them to Amazon. But I don't know who of those people but a lot of people interact with me, like, I have part of my email sequence is, "Hey, did you like the product? I'd love to hear your feedback," and they'll send me, stuff. They'll send me responses back, so that's how I know who bought the product and can ask them for reviews, and if they had a positive interaction, those are people that I'll reach out to in the future as well to, like, test.
Okay, so it's really, again, all on the relationship and the email and the communications, and you're not making these sort of decisions based on the raw data. So
Mm-mm.
yeah, I think it's great. I think that that's definitely another perspective that we to your point, if you find your raving fans, if you find your VIP list, if you're getting ready to do something else in the future, having this approach and not just going to the data and saying, well, these 10 people have bought from us the most, right? And actually going and doing the relationship. And what have you found that does for you word of mouth?
Apparently, people tell me all the time, like, "Oh, I told my groomer about this," or I told my friend or something like this. So I only know from what I hear.
Right.
But I guess people tell other people. But I will say on the raw data part, like if you have that data, uh, I just don't have a lot of that data from being from Amazon. But yeah, if I knew that this person bought so many times, honestly, I especially if my product was a high ticket item and I knew that someone was so engaged with my stuff, I'd call them or I'd send them a Loom video and be like personalized, like, hey, blank, like I saw that you've bought this and I just want to say thank you. Like it means a lot and I let me know how you like it. Because that just it means a lot to me and that's so cool that they were so engaged with my brand, and especially if it's I'm selling a service that's like 3K or something like that, where it's so crazy worth it. Uh, and I do use raw data in other parts of the business, so I'm always looking at my ad spend and my ROAS and my tacos and all those, like, numbers, making sure that everything's profitable.
Right. Okay. So, but I love that idea of calling someone or doing a Loom video or something. Again, to this idea of, um, you developed your raving fans, you pre-sold, you sold, you launched, now you're pre-selling again. And so it sounds like this is just repeatable and you're building your raving fan base, but you're starting from the idea that there is a group of people who are going to be interested in what it is I'm putting out in the world, and I just need to figure out who they are. Is that
Yeah,
pretty accurate?
and yeah, I mean, your raving fans are gonna tell you what they want. So I'm developing products that they want, so I know when I launch a product, it's at least gonna sell one time because I know there's people that want it. Now, if it's a I wanna make sure it's a good product so people rebuy,
Or
but I know that no matter what I launch, it's gonna get number 1 new release on Amazon because of this pre-built raving fans that and them me creating products that they actually want.
amazing. Alright, so we haven't really talked about your brands at all. Can you tell everyone your brand and if they own a doodle and you're listening in today to check it out, and where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so brands is Dude Woof, and you can check it out, Dude Woof Co. on Instagram, DOODWOOFCO. And then if you wanna connect with me, you can follow me on Instagram, ecom with Elina, Elina.
Amazing. All right. So we're going to put those links down inside the show notes and then also on the video description. And if you find it the week it launches, you'll be able to connect with Alina. And if you find it 2 years later, you'll still be able to collect with Alina, but she'll probably have 9 products out there at that point. And this is really exciting. I really appreciate you um, you know, describing all this, but sharing because I think people think it takes a very, very long time to find your, ideal clients. You hear a lot of marketing things about, you want a niche, but don't niche too much, right? It's, you want to make sure you're covering a big enough market so you can make money. But I'm sure there are a lot of doodles and a lot of doodle owners, but not nearly as many as dog owners. So your niche is very I mean, I don't even know. There's maybe 180 breeds. So you're like one breed of 180 of all the dog owners, and you've still done really well. So I hope this gives some perspective to everybody listening in today. And I really appreciate your time and coming on here and sharing your expertise with us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all next time on the next episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to DawnKKennedy.com, and you can now check us out on YouTube as well as, of course, any of your favorite platforms that host podcasts. Take care.